Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Midlife Crisis with your hosts,
Ashley
and Tracy. Pull up a chair for your seat at the table as we talk about with Belinda with Soul Treader. She's back with us today. Hi, Belinda.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me back. It's so exciting to be back with you both.
Oh, we're so excited to have you back. We can't wait to hear about your latest adventure.
An adventure that was, yes.
A good one, I hope.
So I have just hiked the most northern hike in the world.
Wow.
And yes. And it is called the Arctic Circle Trek, and it's in Greenland. So effectively, I've done the most southern hike in the world on Stewart Island in New Zealand, and the most northern in Greenland. And excuse me, I really, Greenland has always been, had this fascination, for me. It's like one of those countries that everybody kind of knows it exists.
Right.
But it's kind of got this mystical, does anybody ever go there? What's
right.
there? And,
right. Yeah, it's kind of off the radar. Yeah, it's off of the radar.
Yeah, it is. And, it was probably one of the most profound experiences of my life. It really was. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Greenland is kind of the opposite. This is what I've heard, the opposite of the name. It's more like you would think Iceland is, ice and snow, but it's green. Yeah. And Greenland is more ice and snow, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So basically the middle of Greenland is white. There's this huge ice cap that covers the majority of Greenland.
Wow.
And then it's almost like Greenland's got this pretty necklace around the perimeter of green and in summer. But it extends to white in winter, obviously. And they actually do sheep farming right down the most southern part of Greenland.
Okay.
So there's several cities. Well, sorry, I won't call them cities. Towns in Greenland. But they're not connected by roads. You can only get to, there's no road work within Greenland. You get to each place by flying or by sea.
Wow.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They have got a couple of so-called roads, which are tracks, which which are like for ATV or terrain vehicles.
Okay.
And a number of the indigenous people, they will travel from place to place and stay in these huts which are along the route. And this is one of the routes that I hiked between Kangerlussuaq and Sissemuit. So I went from the ice cap all the way to the sea. And it was, I went about 180 kilometers, which is in miles.
Let me see.
Yeah.
I know the rest of the world works on the metric system.
I think it's about 250 miles. Does that sound right?
Kilometers to miles. So did you say 180?
180 kilometers, yes.
Okay, so that's just under 112 miles.
Oh, right. Okay, we go the other way. Right, of course. Yes.
That's a lot of miles.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you hiked that entire distance. How long did it take you to do that?
Okay, so it took me 9 days.
Wow.
It can be done in a short time of 6 days. I took one rest day because I got a massive blister on my heel.
Oh.
So I took a rest day, And then the last day, the second to last day, a snowstorm came in, and I was in this little hut. So you've got these cute little red wooden huts, which sort of stand out in the landscape. They're really cute, Nordic, real Nordic vibes. But this is a one-room hut. So these huts are for hunters, so they're for the indigenous hunters, and most families in Greenland hunt. When I say most, all the Greenlandic people that I met, their families hunt. So not everybody hunts, but a lot of people do, because that's how they get this. That's where they get their meat from.
Right.
And they're given a quota from the government. So it's not unlike hunting in America.
Okay.
But, so they are given a quota from the government for reindeer and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so this little wooden hut was perched on this rock. So there were no foundations going in. It was held down by steel wires. And the storm came in, and I kind of thought, well, I'll wait here for the storm to pass, because I kind of had some time in Sissamua. I wasn't flying out for back to Kangerlussuaq for another 5 days, so I knew I had plenty of time. Well, I knew I had time. And the little hut was shaking from side to side and going like this.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was under my sleeping bag going, oh, dear. Oh, this is a bit dangerous.
And you were all by yourself, correct? You were all by yourself, right? Yeah.
Then the door opens.
Oh, no.
And two Greenlandic ladies walk in with a bottle of Jägermeister.
Oh my goodness! I love it.
So anyway, they're all, they spoke a little bit of English, but they were hilarious. They got the fire going, and they're cooking up a storm, and they were going the same way as I was. And in the morning, I got up and I walked outside, and there was snow everywhere. So this is the middle of summer. There's snow everywhere. And I walked back, and I went, it's snowing. Like I'm just like, what are we going to do? Do we stay here? And they're just like, okay, we leave at 10.
Wow.
With you, don't leave me.
So hopefully you were prepared for that type of weather.
I had warm gear. So I did have warm gear, but there was a Swiss man who actually came in probably later on, and because the hut, there were just 3 girls sleeping in the hut, and you literally are on a platform and you're all sleeping side by side, so it's not it's not like everyone's got a cozy little bed. So he said, I'll stay outside, and he had an expedition Hilleberg tent, and he said he was holding it's one of those ones with the round, very frame. He was holding the frame to stop it from going over. It was that crazy. So,
oh my gosh.
And so this is the funny thing about this hike, is it is on paper, it doesn't have that much elevation. It looks like a very easy hike, but the weather can just change just like that. And I was so glad to have these Greenlandic ladies take me across the paths, because I was so great. Lost.
Oh my goodness. So did you drink the Jägermeister?
Yes. But until that day, it was up to 85.
Oh, wow.
Hot polar sun.
Wow.
So I had my sun hoodie, hat, glasses. It was crazy, and it's 24 hours of that. So the midnight sun is actually quite pretty. So it went from that to snow. So it was actually absolutely stunning.
Wow.
One of the interesting things about it was that there are no trees. So
really?
There's all the greenery that you see. It's not grass. It's kind of like this heath. and it sort of covers all the mountains, but there's no wildlife. There's no birds. There's no bird song. There's the odd reindeer, the odd musk ox, and a musk ox essentially looks like a mini bison.
Wow.
Like little bison.
Yeah.
But they're part of the goat family, and their meat tastes a bit like mutton, like goaty, muttony kind of, but a sort of like a gamey mutton.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so you've got this total quietness as you just silence as you're just walking along. It's almost eerie.
I was going to say,
it really is eerie.
Yeah, I bet.
So that was really interesting, and it's also a very. There was 2.5 days where I didn't see a single other person, and so it is very remote.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these gorgeous glacial lakes all along. You're just following all these glacial lakes. But the good thing is, because there's nobody there, if you want to strip off and jump in the lake, as all the other Europeans do, you can. And you don't have to worry about anybody, coming around the corner on the track or anything like that. So
that's amazing.
That was really nice. Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. What an adventure.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have moments where you were scared or got too tired or anything like that? Was it pretty slow paced or?
Okay, so, well, the scary part was when I was in this hut that was going from side to side, and the storm came in, and I was by myself. And I knew that anyone coming in behind me would be staying put. And I knew that I was on the last stop before Sissemuit, and I knew that nobody would be leaving Sissemuit. So I was actually quite high up, and it was a mountain storm, and I was just like, well, I had enough food, and I had gas, and so and I had shelter. So I was okay with that. But it's when you're sort of by yourself and things like that, you're like, oh dear, and thoughts start going in, like, I hope the storm blows over. I mean,
you're in such a remote location, so it's not like you can get help right away.
There was another time, and I just because the glaciers start melting, and the track just becomes so boggy, and the bugs are intense. So I had a net over my head, and I had bugs in my net, and I was trying to cross. It was probably a couple of kilometers of this area that I had to cross, which was so boggy, and I go right up to my knee in mud.
My gosh!
It wasn't like the mud that that you just put your foot in and put your foot out. Right. It was like I couldn't get my foot out.
Right.
Did you think quicksand? I would have thought quicksand.
It's going to swallow you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't swallowing down like that, but it was just really tough going. Mm-hmm. And I sat down and I wanted to cry. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I'm so over this.
What am I doing?
But I didn't really actually have a choice.
Right.
I had to keep going. But that's I suppose one of the good things about when you do carry your own tent is that when you have had enough, you can just put your tent up and crawl inside.
Right.
But, there were a couple of times where I was just like, this is hard. This is really hard. And so it is considered a really hard hike. There were some hikers there that have done some quite gnarly Nordic hikes, and they were going, this is hard.
Really?
And it's not up and down like that. It's not like you're doing
It's just the
you're not
terrain,
doing, Mount Whitney or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
It's fairly flat, but it is, I think the polar sun got me, the 24-hour daylight really got me.
Oh, yeah.
I struggled with that so much.
I would too.
Eye patches or not, it was just, I like dark.
Yeah.
I like cool and I like dark.
Yes.
And so I struggled with that. And I suppose the other thing which I haven't really talked that much about, but I was speaking to a friend today, and it was the silence, the absolute silence, because there's nothing to distract you, and it's just you and your thoughts, and that can not a scary thing, but it's there's no distractions, there's no bird song, there's no, oh, look at that cute little chipmunk, oh, look, there's a mammoth,
right,
look at this pretty waterfall. There's nothing. It's just constant, just you and walking on this track.
Wow, that's amazing. That you must feel like so good though, like what an accomplishment that is.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good, and I'm so glad I did it. Before I started, I was reading everything about it. It said experienced hikers only. Have you done this? And I said, yep, I've done that. I know how to navigate. So I can do it solo. I would recommend this hike 1,000,000 times over, but there are tour groups that will take you, and, and there's a local family who do amazing tour groups as well, and so there are locals, and the locals are just lovely people. They really are. They're just they've got the funniest sense of humor. Nothing's too hard,
right?
And nothing's, so I would really recommend this for anybody who wants a little bit of an adventure, and it's actually much easier to get to Greenland than you realize, because you can actually fly from Iceland, and a lot of people are going to Iceland now, to do this, that and the other, ring road or whatever, see a few waterfalls, and Greenland literally is probably a couple of hours flight. So if anyone gets injured really badly in Greenland, they actually get flown to Iceland as a first choice.
Okay.
Even though Greenland's a Danish country, it's just Iceland is closer.
Wow.
Oh, very interesting.
That is interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So I just I did push myself to the limit, which I haven't done for a little while. So
I'd say. That's amazing. I mean,
it is amazing.
I do, very easy trails around Arizona and in Utah and things like that, but I've never done anything like that. I don't know if I could do it. I'm not sure, even with a tour guide.
Well, I was thinking, I would probably need a tour guide.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah, other people to commiserate with.
I wouldn't consider myself, an avid hiker at all.
Right,
so.
Right.
No. And the thing is I've got a lot of people sort of follow me, and I kind of say, well, this isn't the bar to set yourself, because you know that I'm sort of all about sort of getting out and being active and everything like that, and it doesn't have to be that intense, It doesn't have to be like the Arctic Circle trail, because the whole thing about being on a trail is that you're just using so many different muscles as you're negotiating just a simple path. You really are, because you're watching for roots and stones, and and so your body is constantly moving in all sorts of directions, like minutely, and so that is the health benefits for that. So
yeah, not to mention the cardio health that it provides. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So were there any, you mentioned some of the animals that are there, but were there any dangerous animals that you were weary of, or critters? No, not really there?
No. Well, the most dangerous animal in Greenland is, of course, the polar bear, and but they tend to just stay on the ice shelf. And you know, there have been a couple of instances where they've sort of, you know, moved off the ice shelf, and but you know, as soon as they're spotted, they will, you know, the helicopter will go out and they'll, you know, try and sort of either move it back on, or just, you know, they need to, because a polar bear is, you know, there's something if it's black, stand back, or if it's brown, lay down.
Right. Yeah, right. I think I've heard something like that.
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think they take any prisoners. So
no.
But, I mean, there's nothing, and that's the thing about it, is that, you know, there's the odd wildlife. I did get up in the middle of the night when I camped by a lake, and I got up to go in the middle of the night to do whatever, and there was a reindeer right outside my tent, and I was like, I needed to go, and I thought, well, I don't want to, because I don't want it to come charging at me while I'm going. And
Right.
Standing there holding on, and it's looking at me, and sat down, had another bite of grass, and sat there munching at me, looking at me, and I thought, well, it's now or never. So I quickly went, and it was looking at a huge interest, like, what on earth is that human doing?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. So they must be used to seeing people.
No, I don't think they are, and I think that's why they're not scared. It's just like, you know, they don't seem,
they're just curious.
They don't seem to be scared. It's like, you know, or there's very few people that the population of Greenland, I think, is very small. I think it's only, you know, 30,000 or something.
Oh my goodness.
It's small. There's hardly any people. And the houses are so cute. The houses are all painted different colours. And so when you see the pictures of the houses, you think, you know, at first I always had this idea that you could paint your houses red or yellow or blue, but you can literally paint your house any colour you want. There was a lavender one, someone had gone with turquoise.
Wow.
You know, so you've got all these different, and so it's actually quite cool. So you walk along the town, and you wonder, did that person choose that colour because the paint was on sale, or did they really like that colour? And what was that person
thinking?
Right,
what were they thinking? That's funny. And also, I know that when you go to paint a house or anything, sometimes the color looks different in the can than it does up on the wall when the light, you know, reflects off of it and stuff. So, wow. That's hilarious. Wow.
Yeah.
So it took you how long to make that hike?
So it took me 9 days, but I had 2 rest days. So, halfway in between, I actually got quite a bad blister, and it was after walking through the swamp, and I just because, not swamp, I shouldn't call it a swamp, it's not really a swamp, sort of like a lot of water.
Wetlands,
so clean.
Right.
Okay, so the water's clean, it's glacial lake water. I mean, you can literally dip your bottle.
I was going to say, you could probably drink it.
Any lake or stream.
Wow.
And it's just divine.
I bet. That's amazing.
But so you walk through the wetlands, if you will, right?
yeah, I was just, it was just the constant wet. And so I thought, right, okay, I'll give it a day of rest because I knew I had time. And I was also pretty tired because I wasn't sleeping that well because of the polar sun.
Yeah.
The sun all through. But that's not everybody. Other people, I just need a room dark. Some people are really good
I'm the
at,
same way.
sleeping. I think it's an age thing.
Yeah. I can't even have like a night light in the room.
Right. Well, I have always known that I would never be able to work the night shift. Right. Like I just knew that would mess up my whole psyche, to come home and try to sleep during the day.
Yeah.
And I just knew that would never be something, that it would work for me. But wow, how exciting. Well, congratulations. What a monumental feat. Now, is that when you were saying raising the bar, what is your next goal? Where do you go from there?
Okay, well, I want to go to, I'm just giving my knee a little bit of a rest, and then I want to go and do a hike in Sweden. Ooh. So, there's a gorgeous hike in Sweden called the Kungsleden, which is the King's Trail. And that's going to be weather dependent. So I'll be ready to do that next week, and then I'll just watch for the weather and see how that looks. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing. That is so exciting. I hope you continue to keep us posted on your journeys. I'm just so thrilled and
I know,
hanging on pins and needles.
It's so fun to follow you.
Yeah.
So did you post pictures yet on your website?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've only posted it on my personal Facebook only because I haven't done the post yet.
Okay.
And I need to do the post, but this is my job for this weekend, so they'll start going live as of today. By the time this show goes live, the post will be up and all the adventures will be available on Instagram and Facebook. I've also...
At Soul Treader, right? At Soul Treader.
Yeah, I'm also starting a Facebook group as well. So I've just set that up today.
Okay.
And that is, and it's on the same vein as my book on health and safety and hygiene. I find myself on so many hiking groups and also... helping so many people on the trail, just like, I see people that, maybe don't have, things in their medical kit and, or they're not
preparedness,
understanding how to hygiene properly. And so it's one of the biggest questions that, that a lot of hikers, especially new people that are just starting out, they go, how do I know it's safe? Well, and so I want a forum for newbie hikers. Like, say you wanted to go for a walk on a trail, you say, well, how can I be safe? Mm-hmm. And so I want a forum where newbie hikers can come and ask questions, and nothing is dumb enough to ask.
Right. What supplies do I need?
There should be. Yeah, and that can be quite sort of, I think when people are wanting to start walking in nature, and we can start talking about a path which is easy, which even a toddler can walk down.
Right.
I mean, and it's, you're immersing yourself in nature, which is so good for you. It's so healthy for you.
Oh, yes.
No matter what age you are. And sometimes, you see all these, other people walking, and they've got their hiking boots and their hiking sticks, and they're, and they're looking really professional, and, they don't give you the time of the day. And so it's not like you can stop them and say, well, ask them some
questions,
some safety questions or anything like that. So that's what I'm trying to do, is to build a community where people who are just getting out into the, starting out and taking walks in nature as opposed to around the block, and where they can ask questions, and people who our experience can act like mentors and say, well,
Exactly.
Help
guide
well,
them
Susan,
and give them that pertinent
the best
information.
thing you can do is to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And I think that would be very helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It gives them a space where they don't have to feel intimidated. That's great. I like that you're doing that.
Yeah,
and it sounds like there aren't a lot of other individuals or resources for that type of information for the beginner. So I think that your Facebook group is going to be very, very popular.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Yeah. I think so too, because safety is not considered. Well, when I say it's not considered important, it is important, but it doesn't have its own platform.
Right.
And there's so many, like I would still take a small first aid kit, even if I'm taking a small child, like a toddler, like a grandchild,
right.
or a niece or a nephew. I would still, because if they stumble and fall, they still need a Band-Aid
right.
on their they still need a Band-Aid,
Yes, Band-Aids make everything better.
They still need a Band-Aid.
Yes.
A Band-Aid and a kiss.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Well, we really appreciate you being here with us again and sharing your journey and your adventures with us. I personally find it so enlightening because I don't have the courage, or the physical ability to do the things that you're doing. So I have to live vicariously through you. So, but I'm super excited to hear what's to come next. So you're thinking Sweden in as little as a week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exciting.
So that will be a 2-week hike. But I may need to take a break in between. There's a small town that I can take a break in between. So we'll just see. We'll see what that looks like. This is the beauty of what I'm doing, is that I don't need to book accommodation because I've got my tent. So,
so it's on your own schedule.
I'll tell you something really funny. The Swiss guy that was staying in the tent that last night, he came in the next morning, and we were talking, and one of the Greenlandic lasses, her oldest sister had a baby, so her mum was a grandmother, and she goes, "Oh, I'm an auntie," and I said, "Oh, I can't wait to become a grandmother." And the Swiss guy goes, I said, "I'll take them hiking," and we're looking at where exactly I was hiking at the moment, and the Swiss guy goes, "I'm going to call you Dangerous Granny." Oh, Dangerous Granny, you're Dangerous Granny.
Oh, I love that. Dangerous Granny.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Adventurous Granny. That's what I think.
Yes, I do too. I do too.
Honestly, they're going to be when I make that cake batter, it doesn't even need to go into the oven. They can just have it right.
Yeah, it's the best way to have it. Brownie batter, cookie batter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Aww.
Well, thank you so much for being with us again today, Belinda. As always, it's such a pleasure to talk to you and be inspired by you and your journeys. And please keep us posted.
I will. Thank you so much.
And that just about wraps it up for today. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Midlife Crisis. Embrace the change.
Join the conversation on our website at letstalkmidlifecrisis.com or our Facebook or Instagram and YouTube channels. We'd love to hear from you guys.